Violent video games. Kids love them, adults love them, everybody loves them. Except politicians and soccer moms, and journalists and video game journalists. So a journalist for IGN decided to write an article talking about the new Modern Warfare, specifically about a kill streak you can get in the multiplayer where you drop white phosphorus on the enemy. I seriously don't recommend you read it. Not because I don't have the archive, which is in the description, and I do also have a pinned comment with it, but more so that it's the same moralizing bullshit you always hear from the same people that whine about violence in video games. It outright calls the kill streak a problematic choice, implying that, Infinity Ward really needs to think about this, with the message essentially being video games are free to do what they want, so long as I feel 100% comfortable the entire time. So I'm just going to address the elephant in the room before going any further. The article is written by Mr. John Phipps, who claims to have served 5 years in the Marine Corps before becoming a journalist with IGN. I have no way to prove otherwise. If he says that he's a vet, then guess what? Right now, he's a vet. But the big thing is that he's using his status as a sort of position of knowledge or sympathy. Listen to me because I was a Marine. And he uses said position to basically say white phosphorus shouldn't be glorified, as though that's seriously something anybody needs to be told. We get it, it sucks. Dying by white phosphorus is a horrible, burning agony.
Yeah, I heard you, hotshot.
What?
I said, hotshot.
Oh, my dude, you just got pranked! Bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
But it's a video game. See, I noticed a weird trend among games journalists. A game can completely beat the player over the head with a message, such as war bad. But unless it specifically walks a certain line, that message can be completely ignored and be accused of glorifying violence instead. Yeah, anybody notice that? How journalists claim that something is just a game when there's a change they like, but then decide the game must be realistic when it's something they hate? Yeah, anyway. The new Modern Warfare reboot is clearly shooting for a darker, grittier look at war than previous entries, at least in the single player, since all reveals for single player show off war crimes, morally questionable behavior, and hell, that's probably how they got the idea to put in white phosphorus in the first place, which is fine. I mean, it's a war story and they're showing off the nastiness of war. But yeah, it's well known that the multiplayer isn't exactly the same tone for any of the games really. It's an arcadey, fast-paced action game mode. It's not trying to have a message, just shoot people until you win. And it's not like the series hasn't had dark as fuck kill streaks already. Carpet bombings, AC-130s, napalm bombs. Hell, you can get a flamethrower in COD World War II and World at War. A goddamn nuke in Modern Warfare 2.
Tactical nuke incoming!
This isn't anything new, it just so happens that a new set of eyes are judging the games. Because he doesn't mention any of the ones above. Doesn't mention drones or anything else the game gives you to kill people, which are arguably worse than white phosphorus. Yeah, the latter is heavily frowned upon by the Geneva Convention, but that doesn't magically make the other things listed safe or ethical either. So really, there's only two explanations. Either this is just a clickbait article and the dude plain does not care, and only wrote this because a deadline had to be made, or something about white phosphorus in particular upsets him, which I'm not sure why. As stated, it's pretty much all but outlawed. You're not supposed to use it on people, though in all honesty, let's be fair, sometimes it's probably used on people. But hell, if you've been a Marine for 5 years, you're kinda supposed to be trained not to give a fuck about dead bodies, even ones that get blown into meat. Part of the training is you're supposed to compartmentalize that aspect of your mind so it doesn't fuck you up in the middle of a fight, but he just seems to go on and on about how evil and unethical white phosphorus is. He even brings up anecdotes saying that everyone in his life involved with the military absolutely disapproves of white phosphorus and, oh, it's so terrible, it's such an evil thing.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
And honestly, it comes across more so as a Freudian issue with the writer than an issue with the game. Dude, if you had issues with phosphorus and Marines, that's you. It's a video game. Dark shit exists in life. I assume you are well aware of this. but letting an obsession with comfort and 100% safety take over your life is the wrong move. It's a work of fiction, and plenty of others have addressed this before. Hell, you even brought up Spec Ops: The Line. Yes, Spec Ops wasn't exactly subtle about how much it disapproved of unethical war tactics, but that's a very self-centered way to look at it. I approve of how this game used this subject matter, so it's okay. This game made me upset, so it is bad.
Who's trying to rescue his people? This is your fault, goddammit! Stop right there, Hugo! But it is! You wouldn't listen! We didn't have a choice! He turned us into fucking killers! That's enough, Sergeant! No! I told you so!
Honestly, it's kind of a strangely reoccurring motif among journalists as well. They all seem to think that the tiniest of things that make them upset is some kind of social cause to destroy. A lack of black people in an RPG isn't just staying true to a setting or source material, it's racist developers that need to be stopped. A hyper-edgelord game about shooting people isn't an attempt at satire, it's glorifying violence and telling white people to kill minorities. These things always evolve into something bigger because the real intent behind it is so pathetic. This guy is butthurt at White Phosphorous, and unless you can scream out how it's the absolute plague of the earth and always treat it as the central villain, Phipps has a problem with you. Why exactly? No clue. Probably for money, writing an article just to get clicks. But it's more so that he seems to be completely indoctrinated by crazy lefty talking points. Supposedly, if rumors to be believed, because some people have been doing some digging on this guy ever since the article came out, he's actually a regular over at Reset Era. You know, the cultish, pedophile-filled forum, and is also an open supporter of Antifa. So actual violence against people, glorified violence by the media against actual people, is okay.
What? What the fuck?
This is a dude who has been sucked into a dangerous state of mind. The mindset of we need to be comfortable at all times. Well, that's just not true. That's honestly the key behind the whole social justice mindset. It's a delusional belief that 100% comfort needs to be achieved, that nobody should be inconvenienced or upset, and anyone that dares say otherwise is basically an untouchable. That's completely against the concept of art. Laugh all you want, but yeah, Modern Warfare, strangely enough, looks like it's trying to be more than just a mindless shooter game, at least with the campaign. It wants to challenge people on the morality of war, and the multiplayer honestly just looks like it's a pressure gasket to let people blow off some steam, something the author of the article seriously needs to consider doing, because it really does seem like he's dealing with some serious issues. The Quartering made videos on this subject before, and the dude actually responded to him in a less than polite way.
First of all, this dude had talked about me a long time ago on March 5th, referring to me by my full name, I don't know, as some sort of insult. I mean, the guy's cut. He's a big dude.
For you.
Yet another reason I don't use Twitter. But, as stated, this is very clearly a dude in a bad environment being pushed forward by people around him. Marines tend to be trained to be aggressive and hostile, due to the nature of boot camp and how the mind games work there. Experience, especially 5 years worth, only heightens this behavior as well. Obviously, not every single Marine is an anxious mess ready to freak out at the drop of a hat, because that goes against the idea of training in the first place. And hell, look at your boy Zach for living proof.
So, won't be able to do a live stream, but here's Luna. How you doing? Good girl. You look tired. Were you traveling the whole day?
It's perfect.
But PTSD does exist for some people, and if you're stuck in an echo chamber of people rewarding a hyper-partisan mentality, especially in a shithole as bad as Reset Era where you get some downright lunatics over there, well then yeah, I don't have much confidence that our boy Phipps is in a healthy social circle, to say the least. Do we know for sure that Phipps is dealing with PTSD? No. And to make the accusation would both be weighty and almost downright disrespectful to people that definitely have it. Apparently he has had breakdowns on social media before, but I couldn't find any proof of this beyond hearsay. You know, people swearing it happened, but no pics or archives. Now, some people are outright looking into the dude's military records and trying to verify that this guy actually was a veteran, and not just, some desk jockey. Mainly because everyone that has looked at this story says pretty much the exact same thing. Why the fuck is an ex-Marine offended by war shit in a war game? But I personally am not going to claim he didn't serve, because right now there is no proof one way or the other. So I'll err on the side of caution and say that he's telling the truth. Maybe some people that actually know how to dig deeper into this and know what forums to find can fact check, but right now I am just not the guy for that. I've never been involved with the military beyond relations to people. But honestly, what does any of this have to do with the content of the article itself? Well, a lot. If the guy himself is dealing with a lot of personal shit that's messing with his ability to look at something objectively, then he's trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. Or to put it in better words, is projecting his problems onto the world around him instead of getting his own shit together. And to use this guy as a cudgel against modern warfare, the way the rest of the gaming journal cronies have been doing, that's actually really scummy. It honestly reminds me of how the media tried to use those Parkland teenagers as political ammo against pro-gun people, and abandoned them when they became inconvenient. Yeah, exploiting traumatized people for the sake of politics is pretty fucking evil. So to wrap this video up, John Phipps is jumping at shadows that just don't exist or even matter, and the darker implications of IGN just so happening to let the 5-year veteran lecture people on the ethics of something already well discussed, more than likely to pressure Infinity Ward to censor the game, is hard to ignore. Some people might accuse me of going soft on John Phipps. Usually I'm far more abrasive or cruel towards people I deem as retards, especially when they defend horrible organizations like Antifa, but it's honestly because I think this guy is being taken advantage of. Yes, his behavior on social media isn't exactly the best, but I think it's because John Phipps has serious mental health issues that's either not being treated or at least are not adequately being treated. I think his environment is really pushing him in a bad direction, and if this guy can get some healthier people that are willing to actually talk to him and be a positive influence in his life, yeah, I think he'd do a lot better. Because the way he describes the effects of white phosphorus in the article definitely scream he has seen it firsthand. And say what you want, hell, I even brought it up earlier in the video, but that shit can fuck with you. Does it stem from his time in the Marines? No clue. His issues could have formed way before or even way after. But no matter what shit is happening behind the scenes, he's clearly in the wrong. Modern Warfare has the right to put whatever they want as their kill streaks. Pressuring them to censor and especially trying to lord your military service over them is pretty sleazy. If anything, why wouldn't you want more people to know about what white phosphorus does? Media is a perfectly safe environment to show how nightmarish a subject can be. When everyone sees their player character writhing on the ground, screaming in pain as they're lit on fire, I'm pretty sure the message is clear. Now, I've never served, but a large chunk of friends and family have been involved with the military. Either they themselves were in it, or they also had loved ones in it. But hell, I'm surrounded by the culture for pretty much my entire life. I live close to an army base, so that might also factor into why I'm more sympathetic towards Phipps. It's also why I think this guy might be dealing with demons that are making him more sensitive towards shit than he's willing to talk about. Because if you have friends or family in the military, then you know that their senses of humor tend to be dark, especially if they actually did go out and fight. Watch Full Metal Jacket for a great representation of this, specifically when Joker actually gets to Vietnam.
Women or children! Sometimes! How can you shoot women and children? Easy! You just don't lead them so much! Ain't war hell?
Hopefully this doesn't evolve into a massive autistic shit show, but it might, because that's the nature of the industry now. Worst part is that we still have no idea how good Modern Warfare is as a game. Hell, for all we know, this is some 4D chess level play by Activision. Get a retarded article published, people bash it, announce support for Modern Warfare's devs, pre-order skyrocket, and then rake in the profits. Sad that something so cynical is actually a possibility, but fuck it, no point in crying about it now. So until next time, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and please remember that napalm sticks to kids. See you guys.
We shouldn't stick the young and lame. We do our best to kill and maim because the kills all count the same. Napalm sticks to kids.